Things gon' change when I really hit the field. Undefeated chance, man, you know what's the deal. Tryna find a kid, I'm in the field doing drills. Boy, you just a sucker, you ain't never keep it real. 3 rings in my hand, I'm a warrior to the max. When I hang it up, they gon' have to give me plaques. Step up in the building and I only bring the facts. When I make a highlight, they gon' replay, run it back, okay? Always locked in, I don't got time to lax. Saying he the best, he could take a lap. Batted 1,000 when you check the stats. Boy, is you ready? You ain't gotta ask. I just really hit the field. 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 Boy, I'm about to hit the field.
Welcome to Hitting the Field. I am Jaret Kappelman, healthy and excited to bring you a full episode of football today. Joining me to talk football is the host of Might I Add, Kyle Partain. Kyle, how you doing today?
Yeah, pretty good. Happy to be here.
That's great to hear. And on my left, making his HTF debut, Alex Tinsley. Alex, tell the viewers a little about yourself.
Yeah, first I just want to say thank you for having me, Jaret. Very excited to be here. I'm a radio television production manager. I usually run in the background, make sure HTF is going well. Obviously a big sports fan, love football, love soccer, a little bit of a unorthodox, and I love basketball. And yeah.
Are you sure? Because someone told me you're here to take my job. So.
Yes, exactly.
Oh, okay.
I didn't want to put that out there. But.
All right, well, it's the end of the rodeo for the Texans. The team is shaking their heads as they beeline for the couch instead of preparing to host the AFC Championship. The Texans put 24 points on the scoreboard in the first quarter, stunning everyone. But then the Chiefs kicked it into gear. KC exploded on offense, finding the end zone 4 times in the second quarter, and outscoring the Texans 51-7 in the final 3 quarters. Alex, what happened?
Not only did they kick it into the gear, they kicked it into overdrive. Nitrous oxide, all of that. Because like you said, 51-7, it just is crazy. Like, they completely took over the game after the first quarter. I'd be lying if I didn't say that in the first quarter I was like, wow, this is really getting away from them. And Andy Reid had an entire game plan for it.
Well, I mean, as Kyle knows, I never thought the Chiefs were going to lose that game. But Kyle, what'd you think of that game?
Nitrous oxide, I like it. I really like that because I'll be honest, it's a lot to put up 51 points in a playoff game, and to put up 51 points in 3 quarters is even more impressive. I mean, let's be real. Houston kind of blew their opportunity here. They had a 24-0 lead. They have essentially controlled that game. Did they outplay Kansas City? Maybe you could argue Kansas City actually outplayed them, even though the score was 24-0. There were a bunch of miscues on KC's part, drop balls and everything. But then there's a play that changed everything in that game for Houston, the fake punt. Everyone knows that is where the game was lost for Houston. After that moment, it felt to me like they never had a chance after that moment.
You bring up the fake punt, but I want to touch on the 4th and 1 when Deshaun Watson thought they had the first down, but they call a timeout. The Texans converted 92.5% of their 4th and 1s on the season, the best in the NFL. Bill O'Brien decides to kick a field goal instead of trying to make it a 4-possession game. Alex, do you think that's where the game was lost?
Wrong choice. I don't think that was where the game was lost, but it did definitely. They could have put their foot on the neck, really put the pressure on them, and they just decided to play a little safe. But then they decided to go for the fake punt. It was a weird decision between not going for it when you had the chance to get a touchdown, but then faking in your own territory. It just seemed like a weird decision.
Do you think them not converting last week against the Bills on 4th and 1 had to do with Bill O'Brien's decision this time?
You know, you don't want to think about the past game once you're at this point in the season. That's in the past. That game against Buffalo meant absolutely nothing to Houston at this point in the season.
Yeah, they won.
Right. It truly doesn't matter. So I don't think that had a whole lot of impact on the decision-making process for O'Brien, but it's the wrong decision. I don't think the game was lost on that play, but this, to quote some people, this isn't Madden, guys. You can't be going for it on 4th down all the time. I mean, you got to play smart. You can't. There's aggressive and then there's reckless, and that was just reckless.
If it was Madden, the Chiefs would have quit after the first quarter.
That's right.
But what does it say about Patrick Mahomes? To lead the offense, to see the leadership from him on the sideline, rallying the guys after, honestly, he was playing fine. What does it say about Patrick Mahomes?
This was a proving moment for Patrick Mahomes. He had his chances and stuff like that. He's shown what he can do in the regular season. Obviously, he's the best quarterback in the league right now, in my opinion. But this was his moment to really put this team on his back and show I can take them to places that they haven't been to in a while.
Well, they are back where they were last year, so.
Yeah. I can argue this was a moment. I think we're still yet to see the moment from Patrick Mahomes. I think that'll come in, probably the Super Bowl when they get through Tennessee this weekend, assuming, they can. But we're seeing kind of a transition of power here in the AFC that we haven't seen in a long time. Now, New England, don't get me wrong, if Brady's still there, New England isn't going anywhere yet, per se.
No, they'll still be in the postseason.
But the AFC runs through Kansas City right now. I don't think there's any arguing that.
I would agree.
If you're going to win through the AFC, you got to be able to win in Kansas City. And Patrick Mahomes is extremely tough to beat anywhere, especially Arrowhead. And I think this was a big moment for Kansas City in general because Mahomes showed that not only is he capable of being a leader, he's not going to panic. This team is never going to have any quit. They're never going to give up. And they are always going to follow him under that leadership role.
Alex, what did you think was most impressive from the Chiefs?
From the Chiefs, I really thought it was their resilience. Obviously, I think the Texans live and died by the special teams, and it was very impressive to see them come back. Daniel Sorensen, I just want to give a quick shout out. 49 was the one who stopped the fake punt and dislodged the kickoff, and that was it turned the game around for him, completely shifted the momentum. So it was very impressive on how every level they were able to establish themselves.
Well, now we have to talk about something that no coach likes to hear. Is this the end of an era for him in Texas with the Texans?
Part of me says yes, but logic says no. I think he's going to get pretty much short leash next season. I think Houston's going to have to make another run in the postseason for him to stick around. I think his decision making is questionable right now, and I think that's something that the organization needs to keep an eye on. But do I think this is it? No, I think he's got another season.
Well, do you think 4 seasons? I feel like for 4 years in a row we've said, "Oh, Bill O'Brien's on a short leash. Oh, it's only a matter of time." When are they actually going to pull the trigger? Is it this season? Is it right now?
I agree with Kyle. I think next season is really going to be the tipping point for him because he's helped Deshaun Watson develop. He's really shown improvement in this offense and everything. I think that it will be next season is really going to be the deciding factor for him.
Next season will be the end. Do you think maybe getting rid of Jadeveon Clowney was big, considering J.J. Watt missed, a lot of the year? The Texans were good enough to have a bye this year, in my opinion. They played well enough. They beat the Patriots. They beat the Chiefs in the regular season. The only team they really lost to was the Ravens. That was really bad.
Yeah, I don't know about good enough to have a bye. Sure, they had flashes against teams when they needed to, but it's not a consistency thing. I mean, you look, there was a slump midway through the season. They lost 3 in a row.
Yeah, they lost to the Broncos, the Ravens.
Teams that get first-round buys don't lose 3 in a row. It doesn't matter who you're scheduled against. It doesn't matter. Teams that make that first-round buy, they show greatness and consistency all season. That's something that Houston hasn't been able to do quite yet with Deshaun.
Alex?
Yeah, I think I'm sorry, what was the question?
The Texans were good enough to have a first-round bye.
I agree. I don't think they were good enough to have a first-round bye, but I do think they're on the route. I think they can develop into that team very quickly. I think they're right on the cutting edge, which is why next season is going to be the season for Bill O'Brien to decide.
Let's.
They still have a lot of holes.
Let's pump the brakes on that. Are they close? I don't think they're all that close. I mean, it's not even necessarily a Houston problem. You look at the division they're competing in, right? The AFC South. By any standard, it's not a dynamic blow you out division, but that is the most competitive division. And in that division, Houston's not going to run the table against Indy, Tennessee, and Jacksonville doesn't really matter. But you look at this schedule. You look at AFC West, right? Kansas City, their schedule, they are always going to have a first-round bye. New England.
Yep, and they will always have a bye, but the thing that matters is the future, and we'll see. It's going to depend on Bill O'Brien and what the Texans do. But the Seahawks will be joining the Texans on the offseason couch. Seattle trailed 21-3 at halftime and nearly lobbied a ferocious comeback before falling short on the road. Russell Wilson threw for 277 yards, but could not rally past the Packers. Green Bay will now head to San Francisco for its second conference title game in 4 seasons. Kyle, how good is this Packers team?
It's kind of fun to watch this Packers team. Throughout the season, I've kind of given them that number 4 overall
the
ranking.
whole league? 4 out of 32?
4 out of 32
okay.
Throughout the entire season. You look at it's been a consistent, not elite team. It's been a consistent team, but it's been a lack of elite teams this year. There's been great teams. A couple stand out, but Green Bay has been consistently great. And in the playoffs at this point, I think they are the 3rd best team left in the playoffs. I give them a shot to beat San Francisco. I don't think they will. And I'll tell you, it better be closer than their last matchup.
Was it 29 last time? 37 to 8 or something?
Yeah, I think it was 38.
It was a lot to a little.
It was a lot to a little.
Alex, did they prove something yesterday?
They did prove something to me. I was very impressed with how they handled the game, especially from the beginning. They started to lose it to the end, but I came into this game sort of thinking not too much about Green Bay. They sort of were a team that you could forget about almost. They were obviously had a great record, but they didn't stand out in any ways, like you said. They didn't blow any teams out too much. So I think this proved that they can hang with the elite. Seattle is an amazing team. They did very well, and I think they proved it too.
My confusion here is why are the Seahawks getting so much credit?
Yeah,
If Carson Wentz plays a wild card game, the Eagles are playing the Packers.
That's a good point. Seattle was a great team before the running backs started going down. Yeah. After that, when you have to bring Marshawn Lynch back, there's issues. I'm sorry. As much as I like Marshawn, there's issues on that running back roster with the roster on that team. This Seattle team was never going to win the Super Bowl. I'm sorry to our Seattle fans in here and Seattle fans watching. Seattle was never talented enough to win the Super Bowl once the postseason came around. And the fact that it was close is actually kind of alarming for Green Bay because they should have blown the doors off that Seattle team once it got into the late stages of that first half, early stages of the second half. Seattle never should have been allowed back in the game. That's an area of concern, is Green Bay's ability to finish. Now, granted, they did finish, and there's something to be said for being able to finish that game. And I tip my hat to Green Bay and Aaron Rodgers for being able to find that drive and find that willpower to be able to sustain drives at the end of the game when they needed to. That dime to Adams was just unbelievable.
So, Alex, do you think Seattle was talented enough to win the Super Bowl?
I don't think Seattle was talented enough to win the Super Bowl, but I think they were talented enough to beat the Packers. I went in, like I said, I went into the game Packers had to prove themselves to me. They had to stand out in a way that they haven't proved in the regular season. And I think beating Seattle, while there were a lot of injuries at the running back position and positions throughout their team, I think they were talented enough to take any. Russell Wilson can make anything happen. He's a magician sometimes. So I think the fact that they beat the Seahawks did prove something to me.
Well, something I do want to talk about, a special moment from yesterday's game where Shaquem and Shaquille Griffin teamed up to sack Aaron Rodgers, which I thought was going to end up being the play of the game because I thought Russ was going to lead down the field. What happened after, though? That last drive with Russ, they dropped the ball on first down.
That's a good point. You bring up that drop. That's it. That was the momentum right there. Seattle was rolling, and then all of a sudden you find yourself behind the sticks on second down, and then you have second long. The momentum's totally dead. Green Bay fans get back into the game. Green Bay's sideline starts to get a little bit of momentum, get a little bit of confidence. The defense doesn't have to play with their ears pinned back on second, third down. That defense was able to play aggressive, and Green Bay took charge of the game like they needed to. And then you get that offense back out there, and they made the plays that had to be made, and credit Green Bay.
So I want to touch on the most controversial thing from yesterday. Alex, you already know what it's going to be, the third down Jimmy Graham spotting of the football. Tell me, what do you think?
I think it was a first down. I think if you look at it on the TV, the line, he didn't get to the line, but then you can see a different angle, and the line wasn't actually exactly matched up with
the line is not official.
The line is not official, so he didn't make it to the line, but I do think he made it to the first down marker.
So here's an issue, and I it shouldn't be an issue, but instant replay, right? It's kind of an issue. When you're looking at that live, I'm sorry, he did not look like he got to the line. And then all of a sudden you look at instant replay. And it's like, well, maybe he did. And now you got two different views, and you can't really tell. It's hard to decide between the two different views. And now you've got this inconsistency. You've got this split in this division of what people think, right? It should have been an obvious, quick review, but the problem is when you look at something in slow-mo like this, you can't tell. And that was never going to get overturned because it was called a first down on the field. Do I believe that he was spotted well? Yeah, he got a generous spot. Did he get the first down? I think so. Instant replay made it harder to decide that. But I do believe he got the first down, but it shouldn't have been an issue in the first place. It should not be a controversial call.
It was interesting at the end when they brought in, they had the second angle.
What was that?
I don't know.
It was crazy. Review it play twice.
It should not have been a controversial issue. It shouldn't have been.
Do you think the Packers go for it on fourth down, though? Or punt?
No, I think they punt.
You have to punt that ball. Yeah. Like I said, there's aggressive and then there's reckless. In that scenario, you're telling me Seattle is going to go, probably 90 yards in, a minute, 12 seconds, something like that at that point? No, they were just over the 2-minute warning. They would have had a minute. They would have been just over the 2-minute warning.
There would have been 150 left.
No, you punt. Seattle's not getting down the field. Your defense just had a huge stop. Your defense is, you trust the defense. You show the defense that you can rely on them because that is what you need to rely on in the postseason. Your defense wins you games.
You're at home.
There is reckless. There is aggressive. That would have been an entirely reckless play.
Well, real quick, I'm going to need a last name from you guys. Who's going to be the Aaron to carry them in the NFC Championship? Which one?
Which one?
Aaron Jones or Aaron Rodgers? Who's carrying the Packers?
Jones.
Oh, it has to be Rodgers.
Has to be Rodgers.
It has to be Rodgers.
Well, we'll find out next Sunday at 6 o'clock. Thank you, Alex and Kyle, for talking yesterday's games. When we come back, we'll talk Saturday's games. Can the Titans continue their Cinderella run? Are the Niners the NFC's best? We'll talk more about it after the break.
Yo, guys, I can't even imagine what it's like to be a Saints fan right now.
Dude,
I'd be so
Guys,
mad.
I can't believe that ridiculous no call.
Bro, I'm puzzled. If they would have made that call, who do you think would have been in the Super Bowl? The Saints would have been in the Super Bowl. Come on now.
The refs, they need to be punished.
Oh, hey guys. Did you see my missed call last week? Could have sent that team to the championship. I guess not.
I can't take this anymore.
What's up with this guy?
Welcome back to HTF. I'm here with Kyle Partain and Alex Tinsley to talk Saturday's Divisional Round games. We're going to begin on the West Coast, where the Niners took care of business against the Vikings. The Niners' running game was just too much for the vengeful Vikings, who ran for 186 yards on the ground. Tevin Coleman led the way with 105 yards and a pair of scores, and the defense was dominant, holding Dalvin Cook to just 18 yards on the ground and a second-half shutout. Alex, you got to tell me, are the Niners the best team left in the NFL?
I believe they are, and I think that it was this game, they played completely into Kyle Shanahan's hands. Like, not only are they the best complete team, I think they have one of the best coach teams, because Kyle Shanahan came into this with a complete game plan, and it worked to perfection. They had Jimmy Garoppolo throw enough to, like, seem as a threat, especially down the middle. They use their motion, they use their play actions to really get openings, and in that second half, they just pounded the rock and ran the clock.
They lead the NFL in motion plays on like 82% of their plays or something like that. Kyle, what about the Niners?
So, after their victory over Minnesota, I would have said absolutely they're the best team left. And then we saw what Kansas City did in 3 quarters.
Okay.
Kansas City is the best team left in these playoffs. And no disrespect to San Francisco, because I believe they are just as capable of winning a Super Bowl as Kansas City is. Those are, to me, those two teams stand above everyone else left. San Francisco is a very talented team, but I'm concerned with Jimmy Garoppolo's ability to just penetrate that Kansas City secondary, which has been much improved over the back half of this season. It's not an elite defense that Kansas City has by any means. No. But Jimmy G's been a game manager in the postseason because he's had to be. He hasn't had to be anything amazing. He hasn't had to lead the team on a comeback drive. He hasn't had to light up the scoreboard because San Francisco's great on the run.
But
they have a solid defense.
He put up 48 on the Saints in the Superdome. So are we saying Jimmy Garoppolo is not capable of scoring?
I believe he's capable. It's a matter of whether he can do it in the postseason. It is an entirely different beast, and Super Bowl is Hard Rock, correct? It's Hard Rock down in Miami. So I guess if it's bad weather, they'll have a closed dome. So I guess the atmosphere doesn't. It's not going to close.
It's not.
Okay.
The roof is literally
and
just.
That is a
open
big difference maker right there. Playing in the Superdome it's a much different thing, much different animal than playing outdoors.
Okay, so he's saying the Niners can't get past the Chiefs, but we can't even get to the Chiefs if the Niners don't get past the Packers. So what impressed you the most in the Niners-Vikings game for the 49ers?
And the Niners-Vikings, I think it was their run game. They showed that they've been doing it all season, but they've just been like pounding the rock and controlling the game mostly. Like they just make teams play the way they want to play. And then when you combine that with the defense that they have, Joey Bosa is a monster. Richard Sherman balled out last game. Nick Bosa, I said it again.
Sorry, I went to high school with
him. I keep bringing that up. But I do agree. San Francisco's defense is, to me, probably the best defense left in the playoffs. It's a very, very talented squad, and they are going to keep San Francisco in any game that they play.
They're the best defense in the NFL.
I think I give Green Bay maybe a 25% chance to beat them because I just don't know if that offense is going to be able to keep up with San Francisco's defense. And that's the thing. When you have a defense like San Francisco does, you just have to be able to run the ball. That's all you have to be able to do, and you're going to win games.
Are you impressed enough about the Packers defense, though, to handle the 49ers offense?
No, that's what I'm saying. That's why I give Green Bay about 25% chance. I don't think they have much of a prayer against San Francisco. I hope it's a closer game than when they played last time. I don't know if they have the talent and the ability to be able to keep up with San Francisco. That defense is just it's too much to handle, and it concerns me whether Green Bay is going to keep it close.
I feel like the Packers' best chance is the media. The media is writing them off. They have basically said the 49ers are locked in the Super Bowl, which I think is absurd because the Packers, Aaron Rodgers has proven himself in the postseason. He's proven himself in the big moment. What has Garoppolo done?
Not much. I mean,
he sat the bench for 2 rings.
Yeah, you look at this past game against the Vikings. didn't do much. Like he completed 11 passes. He completed 3 passes in the second half.
That's a little bit of an unfair comparison.
Yes, it is.
Aaron Rodgers and Jimmy G,
Yes.
that's a little bit of an unfair comparison here. Aaron Rodgers has been at it for how many years now?
It's not an unfair comparison when you look at Garoppolo's going to have to do something because the Packers don't turn the ball over.
That I will agree with. That Jimmy G, this is a test for San Francisco. This is the first test in, I guess, since probably the Superdome. This is probably his biggest test ever as a starter.
Ever. Yeah, ever.
And in fact, I'm not even going to say probably. It is his biggest test ever as a starter. And I think he's going to pass because I just don't know if Green Bay is good enough to keep up.
So,
and I think San Francisco, I'll tell you, if they can blow the doors off of Green Bay, then I think a lot of people might be penciling in San Francisco as a Super Bowl champion.
So flip the script and the Packers win this game. Are we saying the Packers are the best team in the NFL, or are we still saying no?
I stand by Kansas City. I said it before. Kansas City is the best team left in the NFL. They're the best team left standing. They should be the favorites to win the Super Bowl at this point. They may not be, but in my opinion, they should be the favorites. They've got the most talent. They've gelled together right now. They are playing better than they have all season long, and that defense has continued to improve. Kansas City is the best team.
Alex, I see you.
I do think that San Francisco is still the best team, but if the Packers do pull it out, I don't think the Packers take the throne. I think it is the Chiefs. But the Chiefs defense, while it is improved, I still have question marks about. Maybe not so much if they go up against Garoppolo, because I think they'll be able to game plan for him. But if they go up against
Rodgers,
yeah.
I'll give you that. Rodgers is it's a different kind of. He's a different breed, right?
X-factor.
He's got that it factor. He's got that football IQ. That's something that we don't necessarily see in the AFC side as much anymore. I mean, Aaron Rodgers, it's fun to watch his presence and awareness when he's in the pocket or when he's scrambling.
Pre-snap.
Look at his posture and his ball his movement when he's scrambling from the pocket. He turns his body. He's aware of the entire field. There is no blind spot. He knows where everyone is at all times. You have to be able to keep him in that pocket, which in itself is dangerous. Is a dangerous task. I don't have many questions about Green Bay's offense per se. I worry that their defense isn't going to be able to keep up with San Francisco in a grinded-out kind of game. They won't be able to stop San Francisco.
Well, we have a shot at the State Farm Bowl. Mahomes versus Rodgers.
Sure, yes.
I heard that earlier.
Honestly,
Someone said that.
at this point, that may be the most enticing
That
matchup.
guy in the commercials is just going to have a heart attack.
That would be a great game. Well, let's move on to the only upset of the weekend, where the Titans continued an improbable run, and let me stress the run. They qualified for their first AFC Championship game in 17 years. Derrick Henry continued his run of mass destruction, gaining over 200 yards from scrimmage. All of this against a Ravens team that had not lost since late September. 2 more wins will grant the Titans their first Super Bowl in franchise history. Alex, how did they do this?
I believe not so much the Titans winning this game. I think the Ravens lost this game.
Really?
I think Harbaugh lost this game for them. I think they could have. They have a young quarterback who, while he's having an MVP season, he's electric. He can do whatever he wants, it seems like sometimes. He's on this big stage, and you run the ball 9 times with your running backs. You put way too much pressure on him, and especially after he threw that first pick. It just seemed like they kept trying to force feed him, and then I think it just was downhill from there.
Did the Titans win, or did the Ravens lose?
This pains me, guys. Tennessee won.
Tennessee did win.
Tennessee
Thank
won.
you.
This
Thank
pains
you.
me. And what we saw in that game were 2 teams trending in opposite directions. Tennessee is playing together. They are playing as a unit. They are playing with confidence. They have a certain feeling, an it thing about them right now. There's not a whole lot of logic behind it, but if you watch sports, you've seen this past year. You look at the Washington Nationals, right?
Yep.
This is what that kind of feels like.
Teamwork.
Yeah, that's what chemistry that Tennessee has right now. Then you look at the Baltimore side of things. Lamar Jackson doesn't trust anyone on his team. He's playing by himself. He gets frustrated when things aren't working for him, and he is not a leading presence on Baltimore's team. And that's why, if he doesn't develop these characteristics, Baltimore will not have postseason success.
Well, I mean,
with Lamar Jackson.
you've seen Tennessee embrace it. King Henry in the flesh. Woo, woo, big trust. Derrick Henry, the man, the myth, the legend. Alex, he's got to be the MVP of this team.
Yes,
Has to be.
Easily, hands down. Like, he controls this team, and he just runs with so much energy. And
He's
he
fast.
knows
He's
he
fast
can,
for a big guy.
Fast. He knows he can beat anybody, like, who he comes in contact with. Like, as he's running down the field, you just see this confidence running through him. And I think it also comes through that teamwork. Like, he trusts his players to make the blocks for him. He trusts, like, the offensive line to make the holes for him. And they're playing together. They're very well coached. They're very disciplined. And it is an impressive team.
Now, I think the game ended on the Derrick Henry jump throw. At what point did the Ravens think they were going to run the ball? It was 3rd and goal from the 4. Mariota's in the game. You really think Derrick Henry's going to run that ball? I mean, I guess when you're getting destroyed by him, you guess so.
I mean, when
But
that's
that was
what
an obvious pass.
that's to me, it's an obvious pass to a team that hasn't been in that situation before. Maybe not. Baltimore's been cruising for the past 12 games. They haven't been in a situation like this in forever. They don't necessarily know what to expect in this kind of game. And when you're Tennessee, you have to think a little bit outside the box. You have to get a little bit creative, and they did it. Tennessee did everything right to win this game, and Baltimore did everything right to lose the game. And I'm sorry, Baltimore, you got to figure out these fundamental staff. This is a personnel issue at this point. It's not a talent issue. There's talent on that team, don't get me wrong. But you look at Tennessee, Baltimore's out just so much more talented than Tennessee. But Tennessee, they've got it. And I don't. It's not a logical thing. They have that it factor. And Derrick Henry's he's for lack of a better phrase, he's carrying the team on his back.
Derrick Henry might be the stat leader, but I'm going to say it, and I don't care what you guys say. Ryan Tannehill has been the most impressive quarterback in the postseason.
Most impressive, yes.
Yes.
MVP, I'm not so sure about that.
He's been the best quarterback.
Performance-wise,
best quarterback in the postseason.
I thought well of Ryan Tannehill when he was at Miami, and I think this is a good move for him. But I had a pretty low bar for him, so for him to impress wasn't that hard.
Has he not been the best quarterback this postseason?
I have some issues with that. That's the thing. He hasn't had to be the best quarterback in the postseason.
What are you saying?
He hasn't had to be.
He had a big third down touchdown against the Patriots.
All he's got to do is
he counted for 3 touchdowns.
He has to make the very small selection of throws that he is given because Derrick Henry owns the team. Ryan Tannehill has been the best game manager in the playoffs. He is not a more impressive quarterback than Patrick Mahomes. He's not more impressive than Jimmy Garoppolo. He's not more impressive than Aaron Rodgers. I'm sorry. I get that his stats haven't been amazing, and that's because he's a game manager. Now, granted, give him credit. He's made the plays that he's had to make.
If you have to make 8 throws a game,
he's
you go
looked
8 for
fine.
8.
He's looked fine in the throws that he's had to make. He's made the plays that needed to be made, but he's just not good enough to rely on in a scenario where Tennessee finds themselves down. If they find themselves trailing to Kansas City, I can't trust Ryan Tannehill to win that game for me. I can't.
They've done it before.
But can you guys trust Ryan Tannehill to win in Kansas City from behind?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
I don't know.
I don't know
I
either.
can't. I can't trust him.
I don't. He's done it. He's beat Tom Brady. He's beat big names before. He's done this. Ryan Tannehill is a seasoned vet, in my opinion. But let's throw it to another side. We've talked about the Ravens, who's not have a seasoned vet behind under center. Well, not under center. They don't line up under center. Lamar Jackson showed he's not a leader. A lot of frustration, as you said, playing by himself. Where does Lamar need to get better for his future?
He needs to grow in leadership. He needs to trust his team more, like you were saying. And I think that just comes with time and age, and it will come along. I think he also needs to learn to, in the RPO situations, just he wants to put everything on himself, and he wants to be the Derrick Henry where he just runs through everything and takes the game on his back. And he can do that sometimes, but he has to learn the moments not to.
See, I struggle with that whole age comment. You've been playing at the quarterback position since college or since high school. You've had to be a leader on your team for
Was he a leader
while
at Louisville?
now. Right, that's what I'm getting at.
Yeah.
This is a personality problem. Look at Houston with Deshaun Watson yesterday.
Leader.
You never once saw Deshaun lose his cool. Never. Granted, the back end of that game, they didn't have a chance.
Yeah.
He's not over there cursing on the bench, throwing a tantrum.
Slamming the ball on the field.
You don't see that from a leader. And Deshaun's not that much older than Lamar. I don't even know if he is older than Lamar.
Weren't they same draft class?
That's what I'm saying. I don't know if
year apart.
And it's not an age thing. It's a personality thing. Lamar has to be able to find a way to cool his temper because he lets his emotions get the better of him. And while it's good to play emotional, it's not good to be an emotional person in this kind of thing.
Right, I think yes or no, will the Ravens be back in the postseason next year?
Yes.
Oh, yeah, they'll be back in the postseason.
All right. Well, you heard it here. The Ravens will be back, and the Titans are going to look for their first AFC championship. Well, thank you guys for your insight. But now I want to hear your insight at home. Head to our Twitter at Hitting the Field to answer today's poll. Who wins tonight's national championship game? LSU or Clemson? After the break, we'll go more in depth into tonight's game. Stick with us.
Hi, I'm Dave Jeffrey, attorney at law. Has your favorite team ever left you feeling sad, disappointed, or even a little angry? Don't you feel like you should be compensated for it? Just take a look at these real testimonials from my real clients. After Tyrod Taylor led the Bills to the playoffs for the first time in 17 years, I was the happiest I'd ever been. And then the Bills traded him, and I wanted to die. But thanks to Dave, I found my will to live again. Yo, Kevin Durant's a bitch. When he said his mom was the MVP, I was so pissed. He put up 30 a game, not her. Same time, I knew my boy Dave would be able to get me some quick cash. Thanks, Dave Jeffrey. I've helped millions of people, and chances are I might be able to help you too.
I hate David Jeffries. My whole family died in a car crash, but he gave all my money away to a Saints fan because of some blown pass interference call. Thanks, Dav.
Aren't you mad when KD went to the Warriors?
Nah, that's pretty chill. Give me a call at 888-888-888, crying emoji, and I can fix your sports misery too.
Please call the number on your screen today if you are experiencing any grief, sadness, or even if another fan has hurt your feelings. All you have to do is provide your credit card number, the 3 silly digits on the back, and the expiration month and year. This is not a scam. Derp-de-derp.
Welcome back to Hitting the Field. I am still with Alex Tinsley and Kyle Partain to talk Tigers. There are many tigers in the world. There's Bengal tigers, Siberian tigers, Tiger Woods, and even Tony the Tiger. But the two we care about today are far more great, and those are the LSU and Clemson Tigers. LSU and quarterback Joe Burrow are looking to complete a historic season, while Clemson looks to repeat as national champs. It all comes down to tonight. Alex, tell me, which Tigers?
I'm pulling for LSU. I think they're going to be able to pull it out. That Joe Burrow and this offense are too electric.
They're too electric.
Oh, man. I don't
know.
I might be the only one in this entire crew that thinks Clemson actually is going to win this game. They are so good, and no one sees it. They've been slept on all season long. It makes no sense to me why people think Clemson has no chance in this game. That Clemson defense is something unlike anything else LSU has played all season. That is the best defense in the entire country by far. And Joe Burrow's going to make his throws. You know that. That's part of the game. I was looking into this earlier, and I forget where I saw it, but Brett Venables was talking about how you stop Burrow, right? And he's saying you don't.
Oh, okay.
You don't.
Okay.
Because he's going to make plays. A player of that caliber is going to make his plays. What Clemson's going to do, and y'all will see it tonight, they're going to make LSU one-dimensional. If they can take the run game away, Burrow's going to have to throw this ball 50 times to win the game. And in that scenario, that's not happening. I'm sorry. Clemson is going to win a grinded-out kind of game tonight. It's not going to reach that 70-point. What is it? 70 points? Is that the over/under?
I don't know.
It's not hitting 70
points. 5.5 for LSU.
It's not going to be the it's not going to be the shootout everyone's hoping for.
Really?
It's going to be a very close physical game, and in that scenario, LSU is not equipped to win that game.
LSU's not equipped to win a close game. A team that scored 48 points.
They're not a grinded-out
Alabama
team.
by 5 points.
It's not a grinded-out team. It's not.
Beat Bama by 5.
Okay, that's Bama making a play at the end of the game to make it 5 points. That game was not a 5-point game. LSU won that one handily. Everyone knows that was a garbage touchdown at the end. That was Bama made that game close just by a garbage time touchdown.
Alex, why does Clemson lose tonight?
Clemson loses because, one, Joe Burrow. But I also think that they just sort of lack the, I don't want to say experience because they're the national champions, but this season they just haven't been tested. You look at the ACC schedule, and it is repulsive. What's the best team that they've played? Texas A&M? And
are you talking regular season?
Yeah, regular season.
I mean, Ohio
regular
State
season, the best team that they probably played in the regular season was Virginia. And here's
They did. It was
right.
Yeah. Virginia competed with Florida.
That's what I'm getting at. Virginia. Everyone agrees here Florida's a top 10 team, right? Florida legitimately is a top 10 team this season?
I don't want to say that. I'm a Florida State fan.
Okay, well, Florida is a legitimate top 10 team. They won that game by 6. Virginia lost to Clemson by almost 50. That's ridiculous. Virginia's a good team. They're not a great team. Clemson has done what elite teams do to their schedule. they blow the doors off of their inferior opponents. And when they got their chance to prove themselves in a big-time game, they didn't shoot themselves in the foot against Ohio State. They made the plays that had to be made when they had to make them. They got a little luck, but that happens in football. That happens in football. You have to get lucky to win a national championship. I'm sorry. At some point in the season, you are going to get a little bit lucky to win a national championship.
You can get lucky, but also LSU can make their own luck. Like, you look at the game against Oklahoma. Like, Ohio State, like, they should have won that game. They settled for field goals when they should have gotten touchdowns. And I think LSU is going to get touchdowns.
They settled for field goals because Clemson is the best red zone defense in the country. They forced Ohio State to make those field goals. They did not settle for field goals. There was one scenario, that pass gets dropped in the end zone. Dobbins, he drops it.
Yep.
That's not because Ohio State had a bad call.
That was luck.
That's a missed. No, that's a play that Dobbins usually makes that he didn't make. And that is why Clemson wins this game. They don't make those mistakes. Ohio State had every chance to win this game. They still probably could have. They were given the chance to win. Yep. And they didn't make the plays. And that is why Clemson is built for this situation. Clemson wins games against more talented teams. They've done it 2 times in a row now in the postseason with the playoffs. You look at that game against Alabama last year. Clemson last year was not as talented as Alabama was. There was a reason Alabama was a heavy favorite over Clemson. And what happened? Everyone knows Clemson blew out
Trevor
Alabama.
Lawrence played the best game in college football history, but he hasn't had to do that this year.
But what he did have to do was play from behind the first time ever.
Does LSU blow a big lead?
I do not think LSU blows a big lead. I don't think. I think they're able to, like, if they get that lead, and I think this is what's going to happen in this game. I think LSU is going to come into this game, punch Clemson in the mouth. They're going to give them everything from the first kickoff. And I do not think Clemson is going to be able to make it up from behind, because I think LSU will be able to keep it going.
I think if someone goes up 16-0, the game will be over.
If LSU gets a big lead, it's hard to see them giving it up. But they're not going to get a big lead because Clemson's not going to let that happen. Clemson got punched in the mouth by Ohio State. That was the toughest team they've played by far. They rebounded. They know what this physicality is about now. They know what they're up against. There is no way that we see Clemson with Dabo Swinney at the head coaching helm. There is no way Clemson comes out of the gate slow. It's just not going to happen. He's too good of a coach. It's too good of a system. They are built to win championship caliber games.
Well, something both these coaches touch on is physical toughness. Something that I do want to point out, Joe Burrow in his last 2 games has only played 3 quarters because they've blown the socks off who they've played. And does that affect Burrow, if he has to play in a 4th quarter? Does that affect him at all?
No, I don't think so. I mean, he's played in the 4th quarter in big games like throughout the season, so I think he'll be okay for it. But I think the fact that you brought that up just shows how much on a streak LSU is on right now, that they can't be stopped. They blew out Georgia. They blew out Oklahoma, and I think it's just going to keep rolling for them.
This is a good point. LSU is on a streak. They're on what, 10, 11, they're on what, 14 games? 14 in a row? 15 in a row. 15 games in a row because they lost to A&M. Clemson's won 25.
Well, I mean, if you look back to last season,
if we're talking about playing on a
29.
roll, Clemson, 29, thank you,
Yeah.
29. Clemson is on a roll, and only one of those games this season has even been that close until Ohio State, North Carolina. Clemson is on a much bigger, more impressive role than LSU is. I'm sorry. I know LSU's been amazing this season. I get it.
Top 10 teams
I
this
get
year.
that.
Most in college
I get
football.
that. Texas is not a top 10 team. They were a top 10 team when they played.
I agree.
That's a different. That's a
No,
different.
I'm just.
statement.
I know.
I get that. I'm impressed with LSU. LSU absolutely deserves to be the number 1 seed. But Clemson, you can't argue about the role. It's not a thing about it. Clemson is on just as good of a role, if not a better role than
Clemson
LSU.
has the length, but LSU has the strength. And it's like, when you look at how the games that they have won in this streak, it's impressive. And you feel like they have to have lost one of those games, and they just keep winning them.
But when have you not been, North Carolina game aside, when have you not been impressed by Clemson this season?
I don't watch them. Who watches Clemson?
They're
not on TV.
That's the problem. There's such an
It's because you
emphasis on
expect them to win.
There's such an emphasis on flashiness.
Yes,
That's what
there
LSU is. They're fun to watch. Clemson has the better fundamentals. There's no questioning it. Clemson is tough. They're gritty, and they are going to win.
Well, you're
these
saying they're going to
games.
win this game. What's going to be the score?
It's going to be a slow.
I need a score. I need a score. Numbers.
All right, give me 28-21 Clemson.
28-21 Clemson.
45-20.
48-33 LSU is going to take it. And if you watched our podcast, you know Kyle and I have a little friendly bet on the game, which you'll see on social media later in the week. Thank you, Alex and Kyle, for your discussion today. Alex, that was a strong showing for your first episode, and I gotta watch my back. My job could be in jeopardy. When we come back, I'll reveal the answer to our poll, and I will deliver a rant. Stay tuned.
Yeah, they lost the last 2, but third time's a charm, right? That's what I tell myself every night before I cry myself to sleep, right?
Definitely. In my eyes, I know he's pitching game 2, and his postseason ERA is about over 4, and I'm scared.
Because I like losing, apparently. It seems to be the trend. It's Jeter, too. He's just mad because the Yankees lost in the 2003 World Series.
03 World Series?
I think I have a better chance of winning the lottery, actually. Like, I'm probably going to throw it all on red this summer and hope for the best.
100%. And they're better than the Houston Astros. The Trastros? Honestly, Justin Verlander is the second coming of our Lord and Savior, Jesus Christ. He is a god. I would go straight for Kate Upton.
I don't know.
We didn't give him enough. Should have given him $500 million.
Let's go, Yankees. The Yankees will not lose. Let's be clear. Best team in baseball ever.
Welcome back to HTF. The results are in, and you guys have the LSU Tigers winning tonight. 68% of you agree. Well, for today's rant, this one hits home a bit. I get questioned a lot why I wear these bracelets, and the reason is because 4 years ago today, I lost a friend and a teammate to suicide. Wesley Spano took his own life 4 years ago today. This is why I wear these bracelets. Just know there's always someone out there that is willing to talk to you. No matter what, call the number 1-800-273-8255. No matter what, someone will always talk to you. Everyone's mental health is very important. I want everyone to do me a favor today. Grab your loved ones, tell them you love them. And just know that you're going to always be there for them no matter what, because through thick and thin, family's what matters the most, and everyone's always out there for you. We love and miss you, Wes, and yeah. On a brighter note, though, Charlie and Tatiana, shout out to you guys today. I know you guys are starting your first day at ESPN. You guys are going to absolutely kill it. I am so excited for you guys and what you guys are going to hold in the future. Thank you guys for tuning in for another episode of HTF. Be sure to follow us on Twitter and Instagram at Hitting the Field, and hit that subscribe button so you don't miss an episode of Hitting the Field, of Might I Add, and the HTF podcast. We're off next week because we're going to take a bye for MLK Day, but we'll be back in 2 weeks for our 60-minute Super Bowl preview episode. From inside the Nicholson Stew of Communication and Media, I'm Jaret Kappelman, and I'll see you guys in 2 weeks.
They gon' have to give me plaques. Step up in the building and I only bring the facts. When I make a highlight, they gon' replay, run it back. Okay, always locked in, now I don't got time to lax. Saying he the best, he could take a lap. Batted 1,000 when you check the stats. Boy, is you ready? You ain't gotta ask. I just really hit the field. I just really hit the